So Trosky Academy. This is something that has literally been in the works for about 30 years, and it's a combined effort from a lot of us. From Nate Trosky's perspective, it is his teaching. It is basically the answer to parents when they ask us, what can we do more around the academy or around the camp experience? Because we go there for 1-2 days, we love it, we eat it up, we go work on it, but how do I enforce that way of living, that thought process, those processes every single day? And so that's what we've challenged ourselves. And then Greg Moore, who's been a Division I coach for a little over 20 years. Tony Hildy, who's not on the line as well, that's also part of this, has been in education for around 30 years as well. Myself, my whole vision is about how we give back and create new environments for kids that to fix some of the issues we have around our school systems, around our amateur sports, and make an environment where we all grow together. So that's the voice of this group. That's our whole passion behind this, and that's why we're doing it. I do want to start off with a couple of housekeeping items. Like Austin said, if I can get this thing to change. Like Austin said, if you have questions, enter them into the chat, and then we will get to them at the end. The process, if you're interested, you like what you hear, you're on, even if you're on the fence, we want to talk to you. Greg Moore has been reaching out to a number of families, answering questions and getting you more comfortable with our process and who's behind this. But if you're on the fence, we want to hear from you. You can take a screenshot of this or just take a quick picture and over the QR code, and it'll take you to our interest list if you're not on it already. But the process is pretty straightforward. So we'll take you through the interest list. We'll have conversations, make sure you understand what it's all about, answer your questions, and then get into the application and deposit process. One thing we're highlighting today is that we did cut our deposit process or our fee in half. And that's because we heard loud and clear from the families that $5,000 was too much. So we've cut that in half. It's now at $2,575, $2,575. And that goes directly to your tuition. So we're trying to make this thing more accessible by more families and listening to the people out there and making change. So that's the process. I do want to show a quick video from our fearless leader, and that is Nate Trosky. So let's go ahead and hear from Nate.
The academies, the sports academies grow. So we're not necessarily reinventing an idea. The idea is there, but really it goes to the quality of the idea. And so, our minds think different than IMG, and our minds think different than the German Baseball Academy in Regensburg, Germany. They're all over the world. And so Germany right now, I coach with the German national team. I've been with them for 20 years. We had 4 of our 14U Germans that now are, making their way 14, 15, 16. We had 4 in the last year signed pro contracts. Milwaukee Brewers, LA Dodgers. We had 2 with the Brewers, and I believe 2 with the Dodgers. But these are kids that have dedicated their lives to academics and athletics. And so these are Germans. Now, Germans are unbelievable talents. They're arguably the best soccer players in the world, football players in the world, along with the Brazilians, along with the Argentinians. They're the best. But now they're starting to say, hey, let's build these baseball academies like these mini IMGs. They started those academies about 20 years ago. Now they're developing major leaguers. Max Kepler had the opportunity to coach on our German national team. At 14 years old, he signed 15 years ago for just under $1 million at the age of 15, free agent contract. And now Germans are all over the minor leagues. And so we're building this concept, and we're building on a concept. I've had the opportunity to work at IMG, do some mental game speaking, and seeing what they do there. We're not trying to be IMG. We're trying to be the Trosky Academy, and really, build it on our values and our belief system of what we've experienced through baseball, through college baseball, professional baseball, through our academic experiences. And we're bringing in an unbelievable team of guys that are like-minded, that are faith-based, that are prioritize character and the makeup of a player, and not just the player, but the person. We say CPD. CPD is complete player development. It's complete person development. It's the person and the player. So now we're building, right? The educational piece is making that a priority, making the athletic piece, right? And within the athletic piece, there's the 5 physical tools. And so if we don't focus the 5 tools and make them a priority, what happens? Players leave high school with average tools at best and maybe 1+ tool. How are the Dominicans? How are the Germans? How are they doing it? At the age of 16, they're signing major league contracts with minor league teams, right? They're signing with major league teams. It's because they're committing early in their life to aspirations and they're working backwards. And that's really our goal. Let's work backwards. Where do you want to go in your life? And, you know, kids don't always know, but we know what's important with being balanced with their family, with being, you know, complete humans, right? The human element and covering the human being. So developing the character, developing the makeup as a person, but also as the player, developing the educational piece, developing the body, right? The physicality of the player, right? The durability. That's one of the most important pieces, is just the durability of the athlete, right? And building the athlete. So the idea is leaving no stones unturned, completing the circle of complete player and complete person development. Body, tools, makeup, education, right? And we go into the 7th tool, the 6th tool, and the 5 physical tools. And that's our model, developing a foundation of the person, the player, right? The student, the athlete. The 7th tool, the faith, the family, right? So we're all about this experience of giving players the opportunity to become not only the best player they can become, reaching their ceiling, pushing their ceiling, but becoming the best student and the best person, right? It's completing the circle.
There are a few individuals out there that are as eloquent and passionate as Nate Trosky. And his message is pretty clear. It's, we're going to build the person, build the player. And that's really what we're about. When you look at overall education, for a lot of you, one of the main reasons you're probably on here is you love what Nate teaches. You might be frustrated with the school systems. You know, your child loves baseball and you can use that as an anchor for learning and development. Those are the things that kind of the assumptions we have in place. And the reality is we have to ask ourselves in what we're doing today, are we breaking our kids? It's just, they're doing a lot. They're stretched too thin. The education system is cookie cutter, especially in an environment where we all have expectations of a personalized experience, whether it's buying something online or going to a restaurant. Like, we want the personal experience. But then we go to the education, we go to the school districts, and it's cookie cutter. Every kid is taught the same thing, the same confines and the same requirements. We believe there's some validity to that, but there's also the ability to really focus on what the kid needs to develop. And part of that is just the lack of accountability driving home those accountable elements. We have this concept of me over we, but all this leads to this concept of shattered confidence. And at the end of the day, we're on a path to burnout. And I think Coach Moore, you've probably seen that a lot with kids, that it's a grind just to get to college. And when you get to college, it's even more of a grind. I know that I've seen it as a high school coach and as a college coach myself, that they really have to be passionate about it. And it's our goal as parents and mentors around the child to help keep them passionate about it, help them continue to be excited about it. And some of the things that we're leading into is that we've had this silo development model. And it starts off with academics. The teachers don't talk to the coaches. It's just a siloed world. You have the body elements where you're doing training. You might be doing a training workout to build the strength and build the speed, but it's not relevant to baseball at all, because baseball has specific movement patterns, biomechanics that you want to develop, but a lot of kids don't know what they're working on. You have the tools element. So the skill development, the actual baseball development, that's in its own little bucket that doesn't communicate with the other elements. The makeup piece, and Coach Moore will dive deep into this because that's what he's really, really good at. The guy knows baseball like few, but he really knows makeup and character development, and how that builds a foundation for success in all these. And then finally, recruiting is just this black box that a lot of parents just don't really know what to do. They need guidance and they pay a lot of money to have that happen. And when we talk about money, we have different elements that help support each one of these silo development areas. And for a lot of parents, it can cost up to $35,000 or more a year. And so there's a different process that we can put into place. And that's one of the things we really took a step back as a group between Austin, Nate, Greg, Tony, and myself, is that if we were to take a step back and design an educational environment, what would it look like? And I think Nate did a really good job describing that in the video at the beginning, is that it is being done in other places. It's just not being done in the United States. You look at all the soccer clubs in Europe. They are full on from when the child's young all the way through development. That is a club program. They also have government programs like we mentioned in Germany around baseball. So this concept of an academy has already been built. We're just taking pages out of those playbooks that work really well and applying it to baseball in smaller, more microclimates like regional climates, as well as in our national academy. But so we decided, what would it look like? Go to a place the child loves around like-minded students supported by elite coaches and educators, teachers that are accredited teachers, and then continuous improvement. And that's just with any model, is that if we're going to develop a model that's going to continue to improve an individual over time, whether it's baseball or academics or character, is it's got to be measured. And then we'll apply ideas and concepts to help improve. And then finally, this whole thing is based on transparency. One of the things why we're doing so many of these webinars is that we want you to get to know us. And we want to get to know each parent, each family, and each student, because that's how we grow this thing together, is based on this family concept. And that's really what it is. It is the Trosky Academy family. Also based on strong morals and faith. We're all strong and believe in that. That's an important element to build a foundational of any community. We have to have common ground. And we'll do that around faith and family and transparency. So that whole thing, when you look at that school that we wanted to define and recreate and reimagine, is it, we're calling it Trosky Academy. And it is the premier academic and baseball development academy on the planet. We are doing some things that you're going to learn today that no one else is doing. We're trying things that's new, that have also been proved, and applying that to academics, body tools, makeup, and recruiting underneath a single roof in an academy. And if you look at this academy concept, again, it's built for ages 6th graders all the way to 12th grade. And those are the focus areas that we're really applying our effort on. What makes us different are 5 key elements. The first one is that down the road, we will offer virtual academy. So, but right now, come August 31st, we're opening up 8 schools and eight locations in what we call regional academies. We also have the focus on the student, making them the center of the universe, and that's our white glove treatment. And that's where we get into a lot of the communication. I think many of you have either talked to Coach Moore or will talk to Coach Moore in the next few days. But that's the white glove treatment that we're talking about, is we want to build a family environment, irrespective of where you reside throughout the country. So we will create a family environment. You guys have grown to know and love Nate and his ability to teach kids, whether it's around mental skills, character development, or even around baseball skills. We have all that content that some of you might be Gold Glove members. We're refactoring all that content, and we're going to put it into a brand new platform that will be highly engaging, that will become the foundation for everything we're doing at the Academy. So if you look at number 3, we do have the best, most holistic baseball training on the planet. The fourth one is just really diving into providing direction and guidance around college recruiting and preparing kids for college. And the last one is as we skip ahead, the last one is the academic and baseball development transparency. Every step of the phase, every step, you will have access to your child's academic information, to their body development progress, to their makeup progress, as well as to their baseball skill development. You will have access to all of that, because again, it takes a village to raise kids, and we like to call it to raise studs. So with that, Greg, anything to add on those top 5 that we might have missed?
No, I think you nailed it. It's the heart behind this thing. It's Nate's heart. And I say it all the time when people say, what are you guys doing? It's a bunch of dads, and I don't want to cheapen this group, but it's a bunch of dads who understand the challenges. And this thing is not thrown together. It's years. And to see it all unfold and to hear the comments, I had a parent tell me, this is every baseball boy's dream. And we think through our own kids a little bit, and we say the same thing. So, you said it best. Baseball's the anchor to teach, but they're going to learn a lot more than just baseball.
It's a good segue, Greg. In fact, what are the 6 anchors? So if you look at complete player development, like the holistic approach, what are those 6 elements?
Is this a rhetorical question, Mr. Friend?
I'm throwing you a softball, big guy.
I can read. Yeah, we'll key on academics. We'll connect all these as well. The body, the tools, the makeup, which we'll dive into deeply. That's the glue that holds all this together, the character that holds it all together and separates these players. The recruiting is such an anxious point for families. We'll teach how to slow that down, look at the things that matter from a family standpoint, even a player perspective side. And then the tech platform makes it accessible. And that's one of our goals, make this accessible to as many people as we can.
That's awesome. And so you take the academics, the body tools, makeup, recruiting, and you put it into a single facility. And what's cool, Greg, is that when we started this process about 4 months ago, well, obviously we've been doing this for a long time, but really talking to the actual facility owners, different models have come about, and we've landed on two academy models. And there's no better way for me. I'm visually oriented, so to see what it looks like helps me. On the left, you have what we call regional academies, and there are 7 regional academies throughout the U.S. that we'll talk about. But this is where parents and kids live at home and they go to school at the academy. And at the academy, they do academics, they do all their body work, the tools, their makeup, all those things happen under one roof in a regional academy. But for those kids that may not live close to one of our regional academies today, they have the option to go to an amazing facility that we call the Trosky National Academy East, and that's in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So this is really more for high schoolers that may not, either they live in Kalamazoo or around the area, or they might not live by a regional academy that we have today, and they're in high school. They can actually go live on campus at this facility. And it's run by an amazing person, a gentleman named Pete LaForest, ex-Major League Baseball player, professional for 16 years, just all kinds of accolades. But on top of that, just one of the most well-hearted people that you'll hear from. In fact, today we also have Ryan Smith, who's heading up our Trosky Academy Rock Hill, which is also right next to Charlotte, North Carolina. But Ryan will come on and talk to us about his philosophy and what they're doing at the Rock Hill Academy, so you can get a flavor of it. But getting back to it, we've got two academy types. We have 7 regional academies, and we have 1 live on campus academy. So when you look at the background, all this again is based on everything that Nate's been teaching, and they just unbelievable amounts of content that we're all learning as we continue to dive deeper into the mind of Nate Trosky and all the processes he's built that just haven't been unleashed. And so our job is to organize all this stuff, make it really simple for people to understand and commit to. But the same process flow that we're going to be applying at the academies, which is the Trosky way, is the same thing that you've been learning at camps, just on a grander scale. But through that process, Nate has touched more than 10,000 college players. He's had more than 300 players drafted in the Major League Draft. And then finally, over 50,000 over the last 30 years, 50,000 youth and high school players have gone through the Trosky process. And there's a lot of examples of growth and where these kids have come and where they've ended up. But the other important thing too is you have Coach Moore, who's on this as well, what you've heard from. He's one of the top Division I coaches in the nation. Recently left that world to come build the Trosky Academy, but his accolades are unmatched. I mean, taking and Greg, maybe talk a little bit about some of the achievements you've had. I can't remember the actual accolade, but around GPA for the 2 schools you're at most recently.
Well, everywhere we were as a staff, we broke the GPA record, and it's this methodology. It's teaching the skills that lead to better engagement in the classroom, having a plan each week. And we'd always smile. We'd break that record. And then the guys would realize after the fact, hey, we weren't keying on GPA. Just like a great hitter doesn't key on his batting average. He goes and learns the skills that build the player, build the hitter. So yeah, everywhere we were as a staff, we did that. And it's a very simple process, but it's beautiful to watch because you're unleashing these guys on academics. We know they're passionate about baseball, but when you see them engage at a different level academically and connect it to other parts of their life, that's coaching, and that's the joy of it.
Well, I'd also say, like, what sets a top Division I coach apart from anyone else is ability to communicate, be transparent, right? And the second thing is organizational skills. And so you always talk about what we're going to do in a single day in an academy, right? And basically run it like a Division I program. So can you take the group through like what that would look like? Should their son go to this program every single day?
Yeah, well, I think all good coaches, and I'm trying to be one of those one day, but all good coaches start with the basic point at the bottom, right? The most basic point. And I guess for a school, what does the day look like? And then how do you get reps to blend the sports analogy, reps that matter, reps that give these student athletes meaning. And what we've done is we've designed the day so that the reps are at the right time. Daily Starter is a character and development life skills program that is fairly short, 15 minutes in the morning, led by the head coach. And these are reps, the reps of thinking about the challenges of life, but also simplifying them and helping guys understand how Mickey Mantle hit in a tin barn and what that did for him. So it's applicable and relatable. We'll study other people throughout history, but this gets their mind primed. And then academics, like I said, we drive the passion, the engagement. We almost coach them to raise their level in the classroom. And then you have guys, I saw a lot of college guys that didn't think they could compete in the classroom when they got there. They were worried about that. Some 2-2 students that became 3-3 or 3-4 students. Some students that the school said they shouldn't be in the school, and they ended up with degrees. And then you see those guys 3.5 to 3.8. And again, the GPA is secondary, but that level of engagement academically is going to be there every day. A focus and an awareness of nutrition. I mean, when we get to lunch in the academies, we want the camaraderie there. We want these guys to enjoy their time together, eat their food. It'll be good food, and they'll be building even at that lunchtime. When they get to practice, it's all about development. It's about those reps again, and it's a very structured practice skeleton that will change slightly day to day based on individual players, what the coach would like to teach as far as team concepts, and sometimes even based on that daily starter. It's, I can run through that in a little bit as far as what that skeleton looks like, but it'll be built on that. It's the West Coast model of player development, and it works. And then we end the day with what's called Mind Gym, and it's very fluid, but it's programmed as well. It's revisiting some of the things you did throughout the day. So if Tuesday's your gratitude day and we're looking for areas of the day that we can be grateful, then we're going to review that and say, hey, where were you most grateful for a teammate? At what point in the day did you really appreciate what a guy was doing across the facility? Just as maybe his effort wasn't something he did directly with you or to you. And then, so that ends the day in terms of the program side. But then the body part, well, we know what that is. Those are animals lifting weights. So we get them ready to go, peel the paint off the walls and lift like they want to lift and need to lift. We teach them how to do it in a smart way on the plan that we'll get into here in a little bit.
Awesome. One of the things, Greg, that I think that the audience will continue to hear is that you have this concept of set goals, act, and then reflect. And we do that throughout the day, throughout the week. Like, that is how we get to improvement. So that's one of the things too. The other thing that sets the Trosky Academy apart too, and is that at a facility, you have all these support resources. It's not like other academies where you just go flip open open the laptop and do your homework or do your online schooling and then go hit and play catch. That's not what it's about. It's about a structured environment with support resources there that are there for them. So we start off with head coaches. Each academy has a head coach. We have assistant coaches. We're on a ratio of about 1-7, 1-10 players. You'll have an assistant coach. It's actually a success hotline. It's more than just a mental game hotline. It's the success hotline. So if you guys have questions, parents, kids, whatever, like they need to talk to somebody that's not an assistant or head coach that's part of the Trosky world, we'll be there to answer questions. Then you start working your way into the academic side. You have an actual accredited teacher that will be on site in the facility working with the kids every single day. We have what we call a success coach. This is someone that's really designated as supporting the individual and ensuring they're on the right path from an academic and also from a baseball and body development standpoint. And then we also have live stream teachers, and we'll go through some of the different academic options here in a second, but obviously have live stream teachers. Depending on if you go with Arizona State Digital Prep, which is one of our primary academic options. They do have teacher parent and student conferences on a regular basis. So there's a lot of one-on-one touch there. And then when you look at the baseball training side of things, is that people want to know, like, is it position specific, or we just lump it all together? And the reality is each position is very different on the baseball field. And so we want to make sure that we're giving them the right training, have the right resources. We'll dive into the people that we have that are driving that, the support for each of the positions, but we'll have position specific. So pitchers, catchers, outfielders, infielders, all position specific work and training that we'll do. You have body development that's done by a gentleman named Eric Yavarone. And Eric is with one of the top MLB teams in the major leagues. And his sole job right now for that organization is to evaluate major league players and provide them with training mechanisms to help them get better. He also does, he heads up the scouting department for the performance side too. So he does a lot of the draft prospect analysis. So he has built a customized program that is based on it, that's assessment based. So after an assessment is run, we create a specific and personalized workout for that individual. Hitting obviously is a key focus area at the Academy. Baseball IQ, you can't do any of this stuff unless you really understand the game and you understand the IQ elements. The mental game is the foundation for all of it. And then finally, recruiting piece. So we will dive in each one of these areas for each position, age, and skill level. Coach Moore, did I miss anything there? Anything there?
I think it's well said. And this is where the energy, the emotional energy comes from us and from the coaches, because this is a checklist. We want to look at each student, each athlete, and say, hey, what does he need in terms of physical training? Position specific, what's going to make him better? What skill will we work on? Then go all the way down the line. Mental game, some guys need more challenge, some guys need more support. And it really does become a checklist to run through. And then you go to each athlete and you try to customize to who they are and what they need. Because this whole thing is not built on the structure working down to the student. It's built on what does the student need individually, and then what does the group need? What does the team need? That's another question that we're going to ask every single day. Sometimes it's going to be to get out of the facility, go to a movie and enjoy some time together. And most days it's going to be sweat and work and key on these things.